Welcome to part one on this series of darse cuenta. This is a very useful phrase that is reflexive in Spanish. And so far, we've only worked with regular verbs as reflexives, but we can also use irregular verbs, so we can also make them reflexive. And a good example of that is when you want to express the verb to realize in English. So what we do is we take the verb dar, which is to give, and we make that reflexive. So it becomes darse. As always, we have this se on the end of the verb, indicating that we're going to use it reflexively. Now, onto this darse, we add the word cuenta, and this cuenta never actually changes, so it always remains exactly the same. No matter what we do with the conjugation of dar, this cuenta always remains stable. So we're kind of tagging that onto the end. So we have darse cuenta. That is how you express in Spanish the verb to realize in English, darse cuenta. Before we go any more forward, it's very important that you revise how to conjugate this irregular verb dar if you need to. So because we're going to be conjugating it in all the tenses throughout this module, so it's very important that you refresh your memory if you need to. But assuming that you are familiar with how to conjugate dar as an irregular verb, we can move forward into how this actually works. First of all, how would you say I give? Doy. Now what we do is make that reflexive, so it would be me doy, literally I give myself. And onto that we add the word cuenta, so we're tagging that on and we get me doy cuenta, kind of like I give myself account, me doy cuenta. And that expresses I realize, me doy cuenta. It works the same for the other angles. So if we wanted to say you realize, well, we start off by figuring out what is you give, which is das. And again, we make it reflexive. So it would be te das. You give yourself. And onto that, we tag on the word cuenta. So how would you say you realize? Te das cuenta. What is he, she, or it gives? Da. He, she, or it realizes. Se da cuenta. Here we have to himself, to herself, to itself, it gives account. Se da cuenta, that would be how you would express he realizes, she realizes, or it realizes. Se da cuenta. How would you say we give? Damos. Now say we realize. Nos damos cuenta. They give. Dan. They realize. Se dan cuenta. So let's summarize this and just run through some examples in real time. Here we have to realize, darse cuenta, looking so foreign to us in English, right? So we need to remember that we don't have to worry about this. Cuenta is going to remain the same. So this is what we're working with, this part. So for I realize, we have doy for I give, and me doy, I give myself, and then cuenta is like account. So me doy cuenta, I realize. Or for you realize, now we change, te das cuenta. For he realizes, she realizes, it realizes, se da cuenta. For we realize, this changes to damos, nos damos cuenta, we realize, and they realize would be se dan cuenta. So you see, all the time we're conjugating the irregular verb dar, so it's doy, das, da, damos, and dan, and we're throwing in our pronoun power here, whether it's me, te, nos, or se, to make this verb dar function reflexively. And then onto every single one of those, we're tagging this word cuenta, and that is how we're expressing I realize, you realize, and so forth.